Well, Donald Trump has used his powerful platform this afternoon to make an unproven link between autism and the active ingredient in Tylenol, a claim not backed by scientific data. Trump was speaking at a news conference at the White House where he advised pregnant Americans not to take the drug. CBC News health reporter Jennifer Yoon's following the story, and I asked her what evidence Trump cited while making his claim.
Truthfully, Ian, not much, but the message was clear as Donald Trump gave unusually medical advice from the Oval Office. If you're pregnant, if you're in pain, and you're thinking about reaching for that Tylenol, don't do it.
So taking Tylenol is not good. All right, I'll say it. It's not good. For this reason, they are strongly recommending that women limit Tylenol use during pregnancy unless medically necessary.
But the scientists who have devoted entire careers to understanding autism say, unfortunately, preventing autism simply is not as easy as pregnant women not taking Tylenol anymore.
Autism is not one condition. There are many different versions of autism. They have different biologies. They caused by different things. They predict growth in different areas and struggles in different areas. So to say that we're going to find the single cause for autism, it is based on the science that we have, it is highly unlikely.
And scientists have been studying this link for a while now, Ian, and what they've found is no clear association between Tylenol and autism. And even if they did find a clear association, that doesn't establish causation, right? That Tylenol causes autism. To establish that relationship, you have to rule out other factors like genetics, environmental exposures, infections that might make a mother want to take a Tylenol because they have a fever or they're coughing or in pain in the first place. So lots of different factors here. And I do want to point to one study which was published just last year because it is robust. It looked at 2.5 million Swedish kids, and it tried to control for some of those factors in understanding the possible relationship between Tylenol and autism by looking at sibling pairs, because siblings share a genetic background. And I want you to listen to what the co-author had to say about what they found.
There is no strong evidence to support that acetaminophen during pregnancy causes autism or ADHD or any other neurodevelopmental disorder.
So whether or not during the press conference, Donald Trump also did say that there is, quote, no downside to pregnant women reducing their Tylenol use. The physicians that I spoke to said that that's simply not true because pain and fever, that can be harmful for a mother and the baby. And the Society of OBGYNs in Canada aren't changing their guidance at all, I should say. The people that I spoke to from there told me they don't want women to feel guilty for taking Tylenol while pregnant. They don't want women to feel guilty for having taken Tylenol in their previous pregnancies because there just isn't the science behind it.
Yeah, thank you very much for this. And I should point out to our audience that we're going to speak to a medical expert next hour who makes the point, Jennifer, that you just did. It is very clear that the guidance in Canada is at odds with what Trump said in the White House today. Health reporter Jennifer Yoon in Toronto. Okay, so we did that interview in the first hour of the show. It is now the next hour. And let's check in with that expert. Dr. Graeme Smith is a professor of obstetrics and gynecology at Queen's University, and he joins us from Kingston, Ontario. Dr. Smith, first of all, I'd like to hear your reaction to what Trump said today.
Yeah, I think it was shocking. I can't say that I would normally be listening in on his announcements, but what was said, not just about Tylenol, but he also talked about vaccines. He talked about using Tylenol in children. I think he's done a lot of harm. And just as your reporter said, I think people should not feel guilty that they took Tylenol in or acetaminophen in a pregnancy and they have a baby that maybe developed ADHD or autism spectrum disorder down the road. The data does not support that. So it was actually quite shocking what was being said.
You know, one of the things that's interesting in this whole issue is that the people who follow kind of the scientific data are so careful in what they say. So some of the things we hear is there is no proven link between the Tylenol and autism. And the people on the other side speak very categorically. You know, there is a link between these two things. So it's quite possible that people who listen to all this say, oh, look, you know, even the people who support this are saying that, you know, are kind of hedging their bets. So let's speak clearly to people in Canada. We don't have to get kind of mired in the Trump political debate. As an expert in this field, if a pregnant woman were to come to you and say, I have a serious pain, I have a high fever, what should I do? What's your advice to them?
Yeah, we would absolutely be saying they should be taking acetaminophen, which is what Tylenol is. We reviewed the data back in 2021 when a review article came out suggesting that there was this association, and created the statement that the SOGC put out. When we knew that this was going to be coming out, when RFK Jr. had been talking about this back in the summer, we again reviewed the data since the last statement and updated it with really no change in the recommendation in terms of what the data shows. There's actually a study that is coming out in press by Dr. Anik Berard, who's a professor at the University of Montreal. And essentially it says the same thing as the Swedish study that your journalist was talking about. This is based on Quebec data. If you take the sibling, the genetics into consideration, there is no association of using acetaminophen in pregnancy and adverse neurodevelopmental outcomes. So right now, the recommendation is, you know, and especially when you look at all the other options, acetaminophen is a safe medication to treat high fevers. Remember, high temperatures, core body temperature is the reason we tell pregnant women don't go into the hot tub for prolonged periods of time. So it can have significant effects on the fetus if you don't treat it. And so it's always a balance of risks and benefits when you're using a medication in pregnancy, and the benefits outweigh any potential risks that there might be.
Yeah, I love the way that you state that so clearly for people who are listening. And I guess maybe we'll end with this. You know, I think of my wife when she was pregnant with our 2 children, and other women that I've talked to. They're so concerned about doing nothing to harm the fetus. They're so concerned about doing the right thing. And there may be women tonight who are watching news from the United States and are, you know, feeling guilty about taking anything during pregnancy, much less Tylenol. What would you say to them?
Yeah, I would say that in the end, the most important thing that you should do is speak to a health professional that you actually trust. And, you know, the person could be your family doctor, it could be an obstetrician, it could be a midwife, nurse practitioner, a pharmacist. But somebody that you know and that you trust, who can give you honest advice. And in the end, as said earlier, the use of any medication in pregnancy is a balance of risks and benefits. And if you don't take a medication and you've got a significant health problems, there may be consequences as a result of that. So that's part of the risk benefits that you need to think about. And hopefully your healthcare provider can talk you through that.
Well, I really appreciate having some clearly stated science-based perspective on this. Dr. Graeme Smith is a professor of obstetrics and gynecology at Queen's University. Thank you.